Hello everybody and welcome back to the United Stand. It is the 2 p.m. show and are Manchester United finally going to sign a left back? I mean, we can get into it. We can get into whether this is a risky signing, whether it's the right signing, but Ineos are moving. I'm not giving a congratulations or a round of applause because it's about time. And we are moving for a left back, Patrick Dorgu. Apparently an offer has been made by Manchester United and Dorgu's agent is in Manchester to discuss the terms of the deal with Manchester United. This deal could move very quickly with Manchester United understanding that Nuno Mendes, Kerkez, they're going to be too expensive. They're going to have to go for a cheaper option and Dorgu is there to go and get. Lecce holding out for quite a big price right now, bigger than what Manchester United should pay. But I'm sure with some negotiations and performance-related add-ons included, Manchester United can wrap this deal up. I've been frantically researching Patrick Dorgu all morning. I will never be able to have the ability to tell you how he's played over numerous amounts of games because I don't have the facilities to watch them, but I have been researching him, I have been looking into him, and I do feel like I have more of a feel for the player now and what he could bring to Ruben Amorim's system. Get in the comments, are you excited about this player? Do you think it's a good signing? Is it too risky? Let me know. Also, window's heating up now. Alejandro Garnacho, Fabrizio Romano, Tier 1 journalist, has come out and said this is going to be a crucial 2 weeks in the transfer window, with both Chelsea and Napoli seriously interested in signing Alejandro Garnacho. Chelsea and Napoli, would you want him to go to either of them clubs? Would you cash in and get the money for Garnacho? The conversation continues. With one left winger looking like he's going in Alejandro Garnacho, another left winger looking like he could stay in Manchester United, with news coming out from Sky Sports and Melissa Reddy that Marcus Rashford leaving Manchester United seems to be becoming increasingly difficult and it is becoming increasingly more, like it could happen, increasingly, I don't even know what I'm talking about here, but it's becoming, I don't know how to describe it. Marcus Rashford, anyway, he could end up staying at Marcus Rashford. Marcus Rashford could end up staying at Manchester United this January with clubs' negotiations slowing down and it looking like he's less likely to leave Manchester United. How is that going to work with Ruben Amorim and can Manchester United afford this to happen? Let's get into the news. Let's talk about it. So starting off, I've not been on the beer, I've not been on the alcohol. I'm just tripping up over my words because honestly, my head's been glued to a screen for the last few hours researching Dorgu and I can't quite get over the excitement that we actually might make a signing in this January. So forgive me for tripping over my words a little bit there, but let's get into it. Manchester United have submitted an initial offer for just under €30 million for Patrick Dorgu, but it isn't considered enough to please Lecce. Patrick Dorgu's agent was in Manchester earlier on today amid reports that the clubs have open talk to sign the left-back from Lecce. David Ornstein broke this earlier. I know Mark did a video on it quickly, a reaction. Fabrizio Romano has confirmed it. He broke the news 2 weeks ago that Manchester United were interested in Patrick Dorgu, and it looks like Manchester United are speeding up the process to sign him. What I think has happened here is Fabrizio Romano broke it 2 weeks ago. Manchester United have been monitoring Patrick Dorgu from Lecce and they've been looking at this player and they have been scouting him, but he wasn't top of the list. Nuno Mendes and Milos Kerkez were top of the list for Manchester United. They were two options that Manchester United wanted to bring in. We've been scouting Kerkez for a while. Nuno Mendes, Ruben Amorim knows him and he's someone that we actively looked at and wanted to bring into the club. What's happened is they've turned round and they've said we need at least 60 million for these players. That's what's been quoted to Manchester United, and Manchester United can't afford that on a left back. They can't afford to do that, especially in January. And I think they've thought to themselves, what do we do? Do we wait until the summer, or do we take a risk on a lower budget signing and get someone in now to help Ruben Amorim out? And what I will say is, I think we have to take the risk. Ruben Amorim is on his knees. He's desperate. He's crying out for wing backs. His system is so reliant on it. To unlock his system, you need wing backs with attacking threat. that have physical ability, that are technically gifted, that can go on the overlap and can also go on the underlap and can play inside and can play outside because they're so technically good with the ball, that thrive in one-on-one situations, that can carry the ball into the final third, that offer that attacking outlet. And we just don't have that at this moment in time. And the lack of wing-backs that suit Ruben Amorim's system is really hindering us. It's not the only issue, but it is a big issue. And I think Ineos, after the results that we've had and the performances that we've had, have sat down with the recruitment team and said, do we take a risk on Patrick Dorgu? Do we go and sign this player? And I think they've come to the conclusion that they have to do it. I know a lot of people in the comments and fans I've spoken to as well are a little bit unsure because, let's be honest, nobody's been watching Patrick Dorgu. Nobody's been watching Patrick Dorgu week in, week out for Lecce. We've just got to kind of trust the recruitment on this. I initially said not predominantly, God, I can't even get my words out today. I initially said that I would have preferred to go for an Aït-Nouri, a Robinson, a Kerkez, a Nuno Mendes, a player that I know is ready to come into Manchester United now and is able to succeed in this team and is able to come in and play. Somebody that I've seen, somebody that I know is experienced and ready to come in. Patrick Dorgu, at 20 years old, from Serie A, playing for Lecce, who are towards the bottom of Serie A, is a risk. He's played less than 3,000 professional minutes in his career, but he is suited to what Ruben Amorim needs. He can play on the left side, he can play on the right side. He's predominantly a left back, but he has even played right wing for Lecce in the past because he has very good attacking abilities. He's very good 1v1. He's fearless in 1v1 situations. He's a great dribbler. He's just over 6 foot. He's 6'2", and he actually has got really good aerial ability as well, and often wins his aerial battles, which is what Manchester United need. You look at what Ruben Amorim did with Quanda at Sporting Lisbon, who's only 17 and is thriving now at Sporting, and he's excellent on that right-hand side. Could Dorgu follow in his footsteps, working with a coach like Ruben Amorim? And if you just look as well at this is a stat that I found really interesting. Top 7 league under-22 fullbacks with most successful attacking actions. Balde is third with 62. Quanda is second with 67, and Patrick Dorgu is first with 79. So it fits that mould. He's got them attacking attributes, but he's also got great recovery pace. His defensive stats are really, really good as well. He's an aggressive defender. Sometimes maybe can be caught out a little bit positionally defensively, but he is young and he is going to need time. The only thing for me is Manchester United have a lot of potential. We have a lot of players where you're like, there for the future. We've got Harry Armas at 17 years old. We've got Diego Leon. He's 17 years old that we've just signed. That is going to come into the pre-season. He's gone back out, obviously, to his club, and he's going to go on the pre-season tour. They're going to assess him, but he's probably going to go back out on loan, Ben Jacobs said. So we have got potential there. We've signed potential in the past. We need players for the now. That's my only reservation about this deal is we've signed potential. We've signed the Rasmus Højlunds. We've signed the Joshua Zirkzes. We've signed the potential players. We need players that are ready for the now. But Manchester United don't have the money to go for that sort of player. So we've got to take what we can get, and we need a left back. And this could be the difference between getting European football next year or not getting European football next year. Ruben Amorim has a history with working with younger players and developing them. Patrick Dorgu could be another one of them. So get him in, let's see what he can do, and let's hope that he can pay off. And if Christopher Vivell is anything to do with it, which you'd like to think he is, then he's got a very good success rate from the past. It's scouting young players. We were only saying yesterday on the Countdown to Kickoff show with Mords and Ricky that we need to start doing what Brighton do, getting players in early before they blow up. This could be a symbol and a sign of times to come of the direction that Manchester United are moving in the transfer market now. We are going to take these risks on lower budget signings that have potential for the future before they blow up. I think you can say goodbye to the massive big money signings. Christopher Vivell is been brought in for a reason, and I think he has a lot to do with this deal. And the recruitment is now going for players that suit Ruben Amorim, scouted to fit the profile, and bring them in. Let's see what they can do. And it's kind of a a low risk, high reward. You're not going to be paying massive amounts for him, but if it works out, it's a very, very high reward. If it doesn't work out, you've not gone and blown a load of money that you can't get back. He won't be coming in on a massive wage. The report is from Fabrizio Romano, by the way, that they won around £34 million for him. And Manchester United only want to pay between £21 and £25 million. I think with some negotiations, you get that fee down. Performance-related add-ons, I've said it before, we did it with Ahmad. You know, everyone keeps saying we paid £40 million for Ahmad. We initially paid around £17-18 million for Ahmad. It goes up to £40 million in performance-related add-ons, depending on how he performs, how many games he plays for Manchester United. Achievable add-ons, I think, would get it done with Lecce, the club. So I think we would be able to negotiate quite a decent fee for him, so I wouldn't worry too much about that. What I would say, though, and I'll get your comments in a second, because I know there's loads coming in, that we're clearly not keen on Alvaro Fernandez, are we? Because we sold Alvaro Fernandez to Benfica for around £5 million. We've got a buyback clause in there for around £16 million. If we wanted a left-back, we could just go back in for him and buy him back. We could do that. Clearly, we're not too keen on doing that. And we've seen something in Dorgu, and the scouts have seen something in Dorgu to bring him in. And I think just the fact he can play multiple different positions ticks all the boxes that Ruben Amorim needs. It's just whether he can get going straight away, a player of that age and that little of experience. But it's a risk that Manchester United are clearly looking to take and I think need to take as well. Chuffbridge says, door time, Dorgu, left wing back, Doriglis 10 and Douglas Luiz in centre mid. Dorglis, the Salzburg kid. I know who you're talking about there. My pronunciation needs to improve. I think it's because of when I'm under pressure with so many people in the chat. Dorglis, the Salzburg kid that Manchester United have been looking at and Christopher Vivell knows very well. I am less sure over him based on the research I've done, but that deal doesn't seem to be as hot as what the Dorgu one currently is. Douglas Luiz, I think, is a bit of a pipe dream, if I'm being honest with you. Manchester United have barely been linked to him. I don't think we have been linked to him. I think it'd be brilliant, but Man United just don't seem to be exploring that. Alexander Cobb says, Dorgu now, Kirkes in the summer, Malacia and Shaw out for next season, left wing back sorted for the next 10 years. If only it was that easy. And Andy Atherton says, we must thank the Glaziers for the funds. I don't know if you're being sarcastic there or not. In terms of, I was looking at it and I was saying before jokingly when I was having a conversation with somebody, I said Dorgu now, Quanda in the summer. I mean, if you're looking at it and you're looking at the age of these players and the potential that they have, it's not always guaranteed it's going to pay off. But could you imagine you had Dorgu on the left side, 20 years old, you know, physical monster, elite ball carrier, fantastic in 1v1 situations, great pace, develops and adapts to the Premier League, and you've got him for years to come under Ruben Amorim, fit in that left wing-back spot. And then you go and get Quanda, who he's worked with from Sporting Lisbon, who is one of the best up-and-coming wing-backs in Europe, one of the best talents in Europe, and you get him to play on the right-hand side, pairing up with Ahmad on that right-hand side. That would be seriously exciting. Obviously, Quanda's going to cost a lot more money than what Dorgu would cost because he's already, you know, made a name for himself. Ruben Amorim's developed him. But it is exciting that we are exploring options for these wing-backs that do fit what Ruben Amorim wants to do. And you are right in the sense that Luke Shaw needs to go. Too many injuries. As good as he is, he needs to go. He will be leaving the football club. In some way, in whatever way we can work out, he needs to go. Malacia will be going. So we will be short, massively short. So if Dorgu didn't quite hit the heights that you expected him to straight away, if you get him for a decent fee, you can always bring someone more experienced in, like you said, like a Nuno Mendes, like an Aït-Nouri, like a Kirkes. Even though Kirkes and Aït-Nouri are still young, they're Premier League proven and have got experience in the Premier League, you could always bring somebody else in and Dorgu can work with them competing for that spot if it doesn't quite work out to the heights that you expect it to straight away, as long as the fee is good enough. So that's the good thing about getting this type of signing in as well. The fee isn't absolutely crazy, so there isn't heaps and heaps of pressure mounted onto the player. David Wardle in the chat said third choice again. I can't really defend that because I do agree with you. It isn't the first choice for Manchester United, but a lot of clubs have done this. They've not been able to get the first choice due to money, and they have gone down the pecking order. I'm trying to be positive about it because I do think in the past we have gone budget and not gone for the top choice, and it has failed us. We did it with Casemiro. The top choice was De Jong. We ended up getting Casemiro, which was nowhere near what Erik ten Hag wanted in terms of what he wanted from his midfielder. We wanted Harry Kane. We ended up getting Rasmus Højlund, which wasn't the first choice. We've not gone for the first choice multiple times, and it hasn't paid off. But I think the difference here is that the profiles are similar, and the scouting and the kind of the profiling of these players has been done clearly to fit what Ruben Amorim needs from a wing back. It's not as if we've just gone and pulled somebody out of a hat and said, let's sign him, he's a left back and he's cheap. I think we actually have scouted him well in terms of what Ruben Amorim needs from his wing back. But let's see how it develops. I think the player is very willing to come. That's already been reported. I think Manchester United could get this deal done, especially now Antony's gone out the other way. It's just when this happens and if Manchester United can get the fee that they need, because the last thing you want to be doing is overpaying. Lumos said, I think it's more that we are waiting for outgoings to get incomings. Rashford seems to be holding out for Barca. Garner sale, while not preferable, could help us get a few players in. Zoe Thomas says, can you wish my mum Nina a happy 50th birthday? Nina, happy 50th birthday. I hope you have a fantastic one. And yeah, birthday present, you should, when you're blowing out the candles, ask for Manchester United to get a side in across the line during January. But in talking about outgoings that could fund deals in January, Alejandro Garnacho, there is more to talk about on this deal. And it is coming in from Core Sport that Napoli sporting director Giovanni Manna will meet with Manchester United in the next few hours to negotiate for Alejandro Garnacho. Napoli could be willing to reach €60 million. €60 million isn't £60 million. It's probably around, just off the top of my head, maybe around £52-53 million. Is that still too cheap for Alejandro Garnacho? But Core Sport is actually the outlet that broke the Dorgu news before anybody earlier this morning, the Patrick Dorgu news. So it is one to watch. They did break that before Fabrizio Romano and David Ornstein put out the current news on Dorgu. I know Fabrizio Romano talked about Manchester United being interesting 2 weeks ago, but earlier this morning, the first outlet to bring out the Dorgu stuff was Core Sport that have been speaking on Alejandro Garnacho and Napoli being willing to meet a €60 million fee for Alejandro Garnacho. And then to follow this up, Fabrizio Romano said both Napoli and Chelsea are really interested in signing Alejandro Garnacho. This is a story to watch in the final 2 weeks of the transfer window. Let me see if there's anything else. Okay, yeah, and then it came out from Sky Sports a little bit later, I was just finding the second quote as well, that Napoli sporting director has confirmed his interest in Alejandro Garnacho and has described him as an important player. Also, that any deal would be on Napoli's terms. Manchester United do not want to sell, and it would take a huge offer to consider a sale, and that's coming out from Sky Sports. This Garnacho stuff, it keeps coming out that Manchester United don't want to sell. It would take a huge offer. It would take a huge offer. I don't buy it. I think Manchester United, if someone comes along and offers around 60 million for Garnacho, I think they're going to take it. I think they are. And you can agree with that and you can disagree with it all you want. There's no smoke without fire. These Napoli rumours have been going on for weeks now. It feels like weeks anyway. Alejandro Garnacho apparently is open to joining Napoli. Is that because he feels like he's being pushed out, or is that just because he knows that his future game time under Ruben Amorim is going to be limited? I look at it this way. If you manage to get, and I think the price should be different for Chelsea and Napoli, by the way. If you sell him to Chelsea, the price has got to be higher. It's got to be higher, especially considering how much they did us over for Mason Mount. And you know what? I don't want to keep going back over this deal, but the reason, what makes the Mason Mount deal so bad is the injuries. At the time, I think he was 24 years old when we bought him, English international, won a Champions League, Player of the Year for Chelsea, was a crucial part of the Champions League winning side, and his stock was high. The injuries have absolutely killed him off, which is frustrating, massively frustrating, but that deal has just not worked out for Manchester United in the slightest. And if Alejandro Garnacho was going to go to a Premier League club, you'd need to stick more money on it. Just how like when Daniel Levy was selling Harry Kane. Bayern Munich got him for around 90 million, but the rumour was if any Premier League club came in for him, they'd want over 100 million for him. So there's always going to be more when you're looking to sell within the Premier League to a direct rival. But you look at the situation with Alejandro Garnacho, and I know Goldbridge has said we've turned into a selling club. I know he's got strong opinions on it, and I know a lot of you guys have as well. But I'm going to say it as bluntly as I possibly can, because I feel like I've said this over and over again. It's just like the same record on repeat. If you can get a decent fee in for Alejandro Garnacho, that will do wonders for PSR. If you manage to get 50-60 million pounds in for him in pure profit, that gives you up to, I think I was reading something that says that if you spread it across financial years, that could allow you to spend up to 150 million pounds on players. You could buy 3 players for 50 million. It would do wonders for PSR. Now, it's not Manchester United fans' problem that we're in difficulty in PSR and FFP. It's because we've been seriously badly run and made some terrible recruitment deals over the last decade, like we have been. But we can't do anything about that now. We can't get a magic wand out and go back in time. We are in this position. Liverpool have sold before. Man City have sold before. It doesn't make us Everton because we are selling Alejandro Garnacho. If we sell Alejandro Garnacho, it'll be for these reasons. 1, we need money because of PSR. I cannot avoid, that is definitely a reason why I'll be doing it. But 2, it'll be because Ruben Amorim doesn't think he fits his system and can afford to sell him. You don't see us putting Ahmad up for sale, do you? No, because he fits his system like a glove, and he's probably one of the only players at Manchester United right now that is unsellable. That is, you can tell he fits his system, and his technical ability and his footballing IQ and his intelligence is exactly what Ruben Amorim wants. He needs someone who can play between the lines. He needs someone who can play inside. He needs someone who's press resistant. Alejandro Garnacho isn't press resistant. His football intelligence currently isn't at the level it's required to be. Whether it can do that in time, you'd like to think so, but does Manchester United have the time to wait? His decision-making isn't great, and he's just not as good for the system as what an Ahmad-type player is. They're different sorts of players. Like I've said multiple times before, if we were still playing a 4-3-3, you wouldn't sell him, would you? If Erik ten Hag was still manager, you wouldn't sell him because he suited that system, and he was doing really well in that system, and you could see him developing in that system. I just don't see where he becomes a starting 11 player for Ruben Amorim in the future. Manchester United were currently in the bottom half of the table. We're losing game after game after game, and Alejandro Garnacho still can't get in the starting 11 for Ruben Amorim. I get he's 20, I get there's room for development, I understand that we shouldn't be selling academy players, I get all that. But Ruben Amorim doesn't have time to wait. He's got 2 years left on he's got 2 years on his contract. He needs players to be performing now. He needs investment. He needs recruitment. If the way he's going to get that recruitment is by selling some players, and Alejandro Garnacho is going to bring in £60 million that you can then spend on 3 more players worth 50 million each, it's worth considering it. It really is. It really is worth considering it. And Alejandro Garnacho himself might be thinking, I don't really suit this system. The manager's probably not going to be, looking to make me as part of his project. I'm struggling to get it in the team. Okay, yeah, I could be patient and wait for my opportunity and try and fight my way into this team. But am I going to play as a left 10? Am I going to play as a wing back? And he might be thinking a move might be best for him. Apparently Napoli are offering him a bigger wage than what he's on at Manchester United. He's probably going to be a starter over at Napoli. He's not a starter currently for Ruben Amorim, and we're in bottom half of the table. So if you can get some money in for him, I think it's something that Manchester United are going to do. Do not be surprised if Alejandro Garnacho leaves Manchester United. It will be sad. It will be really sad. I have got an attachment to this player. I thought he was going to be at Manchester United for many years to come. But a different manager's come in, he doesn't suit it. And we all said when Ruben Amorim comes in, we are backing the manager over any player. we've got to back the manager, we've got to back the system. So I would keep an eye on Alejandro Garnacho. What I would say is that I would much rather him go to Napoli than go to Chelsea. I'd much rather him go to Napoli than go to Chelsea. I think there's less risk of embarrassment for Manchester United. I think Alejandro Garnacho would do really well in the Italian league, and he's probably got more chance of game time as well over at Napoli. They're in a title race right now. Scott McTominay's flying, and I would love to see him go and be successful in Serie A at Napoli. I really would. I wish him all the best for the future. I genuinely think he's a talented kid that works really hard, that has got a bright future ahead of him. I just don't think he suits Ruben Amorim's system, so I wish him all the best if he does go. Which, I mean, I initially said when Ruben Amorim came in, it could be problematic for the likes of Rashford and Garnacho, and it has proven to be that. He just hasn't got the attributes to fit the 10 or the left wing-back space. And I just don't see it happening quickly, him adapting to that, when you could buy players in that are ready to go now. So the Chelsea stuff concerns me. It really does. I wouldn't want to see him put on a Chelsea shirt. I've said that before. But time will tell. Chelsea are also looking at Gittins from Dortmund. So they're definitely in the market for a winger, Chelsea. They're definitely in the market for a winger. Will Manchester United include some sort of buyback or sell-on clause with Garnacho? You'd like to think they'd at least put on a sell-on clause in there to avoid us from missing out on future sales if he does end up reaching the potential that a lot of people think he can get to. Still only 20 years old, but it is something you've really got to kind of let sink in. That it looks like Garnacho is going to go. There's too much smoke without fire, in my opinion. And then lastly, in terms of a winger that could be staying, and it's sad to think, not sad, it's strange to think that Alejandro Garnacho could be leaving Manchester United before Marcus Rashford is. That's the boat we're in at this moment in time, because you've got clubs like Napoli and Chelsea seriously interested in buying Alejandro Garnacho on a permanent deal. Whereas Marcus Rashford, he's coming in from Sky Sports and Melissa Reddy, that a deal for Marcus Rashford to leave in this window is looking increasingly difficult. The feeling is talk of a move has been driven by Rashford, and Dortmund will continue to push the finances. And if they remain big, it could be an issue for Manchester United, as they would require United to contribute a substantial percentage of his wages. United are understood to be relaxed over the situation. That was a lot of words to basically, to put it bluntly, Marcus Rashford has been driving a move out of Manchester United. But to put it bluntly, at this moment in time, the only club that are putting a package together for Marcus Rashford is Borussia Dortmund, and they will need Manchester United to cover a very big portion of his wages to make this financially possible for them. United are relaxed, but we don't want to be taken for a mug. We don't want to be taken for a ride. You know, how much of the wages are we going to be paying for Marcus Rashford? Are we even going to be getting a loan fee? So it's like Manchester United are probably going to be willing to pay half of his wages. Does no club want to take him on 150 grand a week for a player of Marcus Rashford, who, you know, let's be real. In previous times at Manchester United, we always hear PSG are desperate to sign Marcus Rashford. Well, he's on the market, they're nowhere to be seen. You know, we had 10 clubs apparently were interested in Marcus Rashford a few weeks ago. Where are they all? I get it's a big financial package. I get he's on over 300 grand a week. Maybe with the not being in the Champions League, that might have docked his wage a bit. He's the highest paid player at Manchester United, but we're 2 weeks off the end of January, and Sky Sports are reporting it's becoming increasingly likely that he's going to stay at Manchester United. They were the words I was looking for at the start of the show. It's becoming increasingly likely that he's going to stay, because Dortmund at the moment are pushing for the move, but they don't have the finances to pay what Manchester United want. So where are these clubs? And if Marcus Rashford was going to do an interview saying he's ready for a new challenge, at least have a club lined up that's willing to take you. You know? Like AC Milan were there. they've opted to go for Kyle Walker at 30. How old's Kyle Walker? 35? Let me have a look how old Kyle Walker is. Yeah, Kyle Walker's 34 years old. And I get it, Kyle Walker's probably going to do good in Serie A. You know, Ashley Young did really well when he went there. And, you know, you can get away with being a little bit over the hill in that league because it's a bit slower. No disrespect. There's some great football over there. And I like Italian football, but it's a slower league. But Marcus Rashford's 27. 150 grand a week you could get him right now on loan. No risks. And there's no one coming to the party. I do feel like Marcus Rashford is probably holding out for Barcelona in the last couple of weeks of the window. Barcelona do want Marcus Rashford, I will put it out there. They spoke to Ben Jacobs about it. Barcelona wanted Marcus Rashford a while ago. I think they looked into it November last year as well for Marcus Rashford. They've been eyeing up Marcus Rashford for a while, Barcelona, and they do want him. But they don't have the finances. They can't register players. Like, how are they going to be able to afford to give us any sort of fee for him? So I think Marcus Rashford is probably holding out for Barcelona, and he's probably hoping in the last week of the window, coming up to deadline day, Manchester United might be so desperate to just get him out of the club in any way possible because of the situation with Ruben Amorim, that they'll take a really poor deal from Barcelona's side just to kind of get him out of the way. Maybe that's what him and his team are hoping out for, because I don't see a world in which Barcelona puts together a financial package for Marcus Rashford that suits what we need. I just don't see it. But like Ben Jacobs said on the show that time, if Manchester United get desperate, apparently they remain calm about the situation right now. Obviously, United are going to put that out there. They don't want to look like they're worrying, because then you get less money and because other clubs know you're desperate. But you look at the situation with Marcus Rashford and he's not in the squad. We're consistently losing games and Ruben Amorim is putting his foot down. He said yesterday, I will not pick players that I do not think benefit the team. Marcus Rashford is not being picked. He's not going to get back into this squad. United can't really afford to have him sidelined for 6 months and wrote off for the rest of the season. They're going to have to accept something eventually. Barcelona are probably waiting for the last possible minutes to come in with an offensive package, probably. And Marcus Rashford will want to go there because it's the glitz and glamour of Barcelona. It's a good club to go to, let's be honest. The city's fantastic. I love Barcelona. If I was Rashford, I'd want to go and play at Barcelona as well. The city's great. You know, they're competing in La Liga. They've got European football. That's where the flashiness is right now for Marcus Rashford. And if he does well there, it could seriously benefit him in terms of a move for the summer. But are they going to be able to pay anything of what Manchester United want? I'm not sure. I get they don't have to register him because it's a loan, it's not a permanent move. But if he goes there, it makes it very unlikely they'll be able to sign him in the summer anyway because of their financial situation. Unless they manage to sell players, no one's coming in for De Jong. Araujo's signing a new deal. I just find the Barcelona deal to be very, very beneficial to Marcus Rashford and Barcelona, and not very beneficial to Manchester United in terms of a financial sense. But it is. If I'm Marcus Rashford, I'm looking at this situation. I'm thinking, Napoli are coming in for Alejandro Garnacho, Chelsea are coming in for Alejandro Garnacho. Nobody's coming in for me, and it's a loan. You probably only have to pay 150 grand a week in wages. I get Alejandro Garnacho's currently on 50 grand a week at Manchester United, so the wages are easier for clubs to pay. But they're going to have to pay a transfer fee, quite a big transfer fee, to get Alejandro Garnacho out. You know, Napoli have the Kvaratskhelia money. They could go for Marcus Rashford right now and buy him. Manchester United right now, if Napoli put down 25 million on the table for Marcus Rashford, we subsidised the wages, therefore you accept a lower fee. So if they put down 25 million to kind of compensate for Marcus Rashford's wages with that Kvaratskhelia money, United would accept it in a heartbeat. They would be, thank you very much. But they're not doing it. They're going for Alejandro Garnacho at 20 years old. Marcus Rashford's in his prime at 27. Why are Napoli not going for him? Why are they not? Why are they not? That's a question I'd be asking myself if I was Marcus Rashford. It would be. PSG apparently have always liked him. I said on this show months ago that I was told that PSG didn't fancy going back in for Marcus Rashford because of the situation of when he got a new contract at Manchester United. They felt like they were maybe used a little bit in the negotiations for that. And they've gone for Kvaratskhelia. They've not gone for Rashford. They've paid big money for Kvaratskhelia. Big money. PSG could have come and got Marcus Rashford for 25 million quid. Instead, they spent £60 million on Kvaratskhelia. So clubs around Europe aren't rating him as highly as a lot of fans have in the past. And that's the truth. And a lot of people won't want to admit it, but that's what happens when, for the last 18 months, you haven't been good enough. You haven't been contributing enough. And I've seen so many people say, this is what happens when you leave Marcus Rashford out of the team, the amount of losses we've had basically under Ruben Amorim since Rashford's been left out. Amorim needs to use Marcus Rashford. We have no attacking talents in the team, and he's our best attacker, and we look like we're never going to score goals, and he needs to bring Ruben Amorim back in. This is the conversations and the dialogue that I've seen being talked about online. And I don't get it. I thought we were supposed to be backing our manager. Ruben Amorim sees what happens at Manchester United week in, week out. He's losing games consistently, and he's still choosing to leave Marcus Rashford out. Trust the manager. Trust the manager. He knows more than what we do right now. So on that note, that's where we're at in the January transfer window. It looks like Dorgu is a risk, but it's a risk we're going to have to take. And yes, it isn't first choice, and it is a risky signing, but it's either that or nothing right now. What I will say is an exciting talent. Is that enough for Manchester United? It's going to have to be at this moment in time. Alejandro Garnacho, I do think, if I had to say now, I'd probably say there's an 80% chance he's going to leave Manchester United. There's no smoke without fire. Napoli and Chelsea both seriously interested in it's coming from Tier 1 in Romano. And then Marcus Rashford looking increasingly likely to stay at Manchester United unless Manchester United accept something very cut price from Dortmund or Barcelona in the last week of the transfer window, potentially, which again, financially isn't great for us. So Anthony secured a loan move before Rashford has. That's where we're at right now. But anyway, guys, thank you very much. That was the update from me. Hit a like on the video, please, before you leave. I'm just excited that we could potentially get in a signing in January. The Garnacho stuff, I'm still very on the fence about it. But if it's for the betterment of recruiting for Ruben Amorim's squad, I do think we have to take the money. But get your comments in down below. Let me know all your thoughts. Thank you, everybody, for getting involved in the chat. Got a couple of super chats before I round off. Enjoy Writing says, why don't we keep Marcus and play the guy? Because Ruben Amorim doesn't want to. And we need to listen to our manager and back our manager. Our manager has a backbone. Our manager has a philosophy in the way he wants to play. And he is leaving Marcus Rashford out. And there's reason behind that. We can't cave in on it. Enjoy Writing says, how are you after yesterday, Beth? To be honest with you, I know where we're at right now. And I would so much rather Ruben Amorim stick to his philosophy and the way he wants to play than to listen to all the pressure and the background noise and back down and revert to something that this might suit this squad and get us short-term results, but isn't going to equal long-term gain. Get the players out that can't play it, which looks like it's the majority of them. We're going to have a big squad overhaul. It's going to take time. There's going to be more bad results. But eventually, Ruben Amorim will build a squad that fits his system and we will be better off for it. Trust the manager. Not every manager that comes into Manchester United is a bad manager. Trust him. Andy Aventon says, are they putting in swings and a slide at Carrington? I think that's because of all the young players that we're going for. And A says, can we start calling the owners Glazios? I think Glinios is the term that a lot of people are talking about. Lumos says, I think it is Moreso that we are waiting for outgoings to get incomings. Rashford seems to be holding on for Barca. I've done that one. Thank you very much, everyone, for all of your comments. I appreciate you all getting involved. Any updates, any breaking news, we will bring it to you. It's time for me to start looking at Patrick Dorgu again and research him a little bit more. But thank you for watching, and I will see you on the next one.